Okay, so I'm just gonna show you guys this one first, and then I'll explain everything in detail later. So, zapping the eagle, in this case you could zap the CC2 and an Expo and Wiz Tower, I think. Um, then you funnel the royals into the town hall with an ice golem. I think this is necessary at 12 for this to work, because the town hall is a threat to the archers. We couldn't test that yet, but we will. Um, so yeah, just AQ getting the town hall with her ability. There's nothing exciting happening down here. Gonna have a look up there. Um, yeah, the archers are just gonna go in and get all the defenses. Then what you want to do is once you start them at a corner, right? And then once they kind of make their way like halfway through next to the other corner, you want to drop down your siege bearers. It depends on how much trash there is, obviously, to kind of funnel them in at times, or like make sure that they don't skip any buildings at least. And something else is funneling them in can be useful, but not all the time. And the siege barrier, it's just the synergy between this and the archers is just amazing. You're gonna see that later too. So the archer range is pretty much one tile further than AQ. So like anything built against queen walks is now accessible, pretty much, which probably makes this a lot stronger right now than it will be if people build against this, if this actually is also viable at 12. So yeah, you can see just yeah, a lot of stuff around the outside, and this is one of the things that can happen. You can get a healer switch on a very small group of archers, and this is why it's so nice to have the P.E.K.K.A. and then the super barbs to tank 4 archers and the wizzies. Because if you don't have any healers, they're quite squishy actually. It's in the Warden Aura, they're at 675 HP. But yeah, this is just, and also the super barbs are way better than Hawks in the CC from what I've seen so far from my experience. I mean, experience is a strong word, but yeah, just from what I've tested. Because with the Hawks, you usually have to bring a heal to keep them alive, and with the barbs, you can just bring another rage, and you can react way more because it's not like a queen walk. Like they will split at times and do stuff that you can't predict 100%. So yeah, we're just gonna times 4 through the rest of this, or yeah, times 4, because there's nothing too exciting happening. um I mean, it is exciting that it is an 11v12, but yeah, you can see though, just the P.E.K.K.A. and the super barbs are super useful with this. um okay, let's have a look at a couple 11s. Actually, let's just look at my board attacks and I'll explain a bit why I did that. Okay, so this is the first one, right? So with this attack in general, I'm gonna start the main guide, sort of. So the biggest threat to you is the eagle. It will not one shot, but it will two shot your archers. And you know the way the eagle shells come in, your archers are gonna die if the eagle is up and it shoots them. So you have to take it out. On some cases, you can do that with a Sui. We're gonna see that on the next one. But on this case, you could probably get something in there somehow, but it would be very expensive to funnel. So the easiest way to do it is to just zap it. In that case, you can get that sweeper, and this here is only 3 tiles apart. So if you put it like on the left, on the 9 o'clock corner of the sweeper, it will hit the Warden 2, and we're going to see that in a bit. So that is the first part. We set the eagle. Then we have a look. If you look around the entire base, all of this stuff is 4 tiles deep in. Also this Inferno is from the outside, from here, just 4 tiles. So the super archers are going to have a pretty good time against the base. So now the question is just where do you start them? From my experience, the easiest way to funnel them, because they are actually quite hard to funnel, is to start them at a corner. So your heroes take out one side of the corner, so this is 12, right? If you can take out that stuff here, then the archers can just walk down to 3. What I was worried about here is this AD pulling my archers, because they can reach these 2, which is fine if this is just gone, but AQ wouldn't get this necessarily. So I decided to break in here. So AQ would get that, and she actually helps with the multi too, which is nice, but wouldn't have mattered. In this case, I used a Valkyrie and the Wizard to take that out so that maybe K would walk on me and AQ wouldn't walk, and it could have probably done it without that too, but I didn't want to risk it. So we're just gonna watch that real quick. Yeah, just the Zaps, as I said. And you want to go Zaps first with this most of the time. If you're doing the Royals only first, in this case I could have gone Royals first and then do the Zaps, but in most cases you will get your Royals down and your super archers at the same time so that they kind of funnel each other. In this case I should have gone Royals first and would have saved a couple seconds, just something to keep in mind. Okay, so just, yeah, walking through the Sui, getting wall breakers in there. Okay, and now you can see AQ is gonna get this, and then after that idea is down, this entire thing here is a huge dead zone, and the archers are just gonna walk around the base. Yeah, that's really everything there is to it. Yeah, again, same principle. You start at one corner and then you get your siege barracks in at the next corner. Yeah, they busted in here, which is not a problem. You know, that's kind of what can happen, especially if they're raged. So you see CC is really not an issue at all. I timed the Warden ability pretty poorly here. Like, you want to use it to protect your Warden against the Headhunters, because you want that Warden life aura. And the archers are pretty safe in those large numbers. So you can see they can access everything here. Yeah, and again, the Super Barbs and P.E.K.K.A kind of tanking for each other, which is really nice. And then you have the Wizards and Super Archers behind, even if the healers die. Like you see, I only have 1 heal left over and started with 4. Okay, so let's look at 21. I'm just gonna check if it's still recording. It is, nice. Okay, so I'm gonna pause on this one. And I really screwed up the Sui here. So my first idea was to just zap the eagle and this stuff here, which would have been totally fine, and I could have just done it like that and it would have worked. But then I felt like I could Sui the eagle, because right, you can reach it from this compartment with your AQ. And yeah, then of course the idea is a little the CC is like, when the range is on those walls, it's a little weird sometimes, but it probably wouldn't have been lured. But either way, I figured I could zap the CC and that Expo on Tower Sweeper, which would be nice, so I wouldn't have to worry about the CC at all, which is nice. Like, you don't have to zap the CC. You could have actually done that without that and then use like Bats backend. But on that base, well, you don't want to use bats here, right? It's not going to be fun for you. So what I decided to do was to Sui in here to get the eagle. That was the idea, at least. And I realized, actually, I accounted for that. I wasn't just luck. I wouldn't have done this if uh, this eagle is reachable with your super arches. You're gonna see that in a bit because I mess up the Sui. So yeah, just zapping the CC, baby drag for funneling, BK. And now this is the biggest problem. I wall break in too quickly, so actually it's fine. But I get AQ down way too quickly. What I should have done is wait till BK clears this, and then target AQ like in here onto the Archer Tower immediately. And that way she would have gone in. Like I'm doing it right now, she does not go in. So yeah, but it's fine. And yeah, this is again, the Warden is necessary in that case because the Eagle would just absolutely destroy them. So I used the Rage and Warden ability immediately and it got them through the Eagle. This is super risky, however, and if you mess that up, the raid is over. So I wouldn't recommend doing it that way, but that's how I had to do it because I messed up the Sui. Yeah, then in that case, I use the jump to make sure that they go in, because once they go in, they can reach all of this stuff here, right? And AQ2. And then they would just bust out, and from there they can reach all of this stuff. And then I still have my siege barracks here with the P.E.K.K.A. and the super barbs. And you're just gonna see that. Just the royal kills under a rage are glorious. Especially because they outrange the enemy queen. So usually she runs away, and then they walk in, she comes back, and they one-shot her. Like you just saw. But yeah, you can still see the tanking outside, and the Wizzies are doing a lot of work. Because usually the way it works out at 11, because the point defense isn't as high as the P.E.K.K.A. stays alive, unless you drop it into a Tesla farm. And by the time the P.E.K.K.A. gets super low, the super barbs are there to tank. So lots of the Wizzies stay alive, and that's super helpful. Okay. Gonna have a look at a couple FCs, some triples and some that didn't triple. Let me see, where's that one? Okay. So this one, you've seen it on the other video, but what I did there was walk the archers here, big cave with a couple of Wizzies here, walk AQ with healers here, and walk super archers in here, and that worked beautifully too. But the Queen walk is a little sketchy at times, and it's safer not to do it. I think this is the best way to do it, like this mass super archer with the siege barracks. On the other one, I used the slammer for that area, but that was a couple days ago. So what I'm gonna do here first is obviously zap the eagle. I think I don't even take out the expo. Could have taken out the expo probably, it would have been better. I think I'd take out this stuff. I should have taken out that, whatever. Then you'll see, yeah, exactly what I said. Yeah, so on this one I didn't adjust my army. What you should have done here is use like a baby drag or something to funnel here. Then drop your archers, they are funneled already. If you just take out those two buildings, the archers are gonna go up here. Then, and you're gonna see that soon, drop BK here with a couple of Wizzies to funnel them in, which you want because you want them to like get that area. And then drop siege barracks at 9. In that case, if I had done the baby dragon, I could have saved AQ in that case. Like usually you will need the royals. You're not gonna get such a cheap funnel everywhere. And then I could have dropped AQ here behind the P.E.K.K.A. and that would have been a lot more of an overkill than it was. It was still not even close, but just something to keep in mind. You can, customize that attack a little bit and, fine tune it to the base. So you can see with their range is pretty insane. So they'll just, get buildings that other troops couldn't, and it's really the range right now that makes them so strong. Because everything is built anti-queen walk, but anti-queen walk is not enough for the super archers, as I said. So let's see if I have an example somewhere. Like this is a farming base, obviously, so okay, here, right. So from the outside where the Xmas tree here is, the Swiss tower is reachable. Now if it was put like that, you could not reach it from the outside of that wall. And if buildings are placed like that, then it's not optimal for super archers. Just keep that in mind. Um, you want to make sure that you have a plan for accessing those buildings. Okay, let's see another one. Maybe one that I messed up. Okay, well, let's watch that first. Okay. Yeah, I messed that one up very badly. Okay, this is another thing. So it's still the same principle, starting on the corner, royals to funnel, getting royals down first. And this is actually, I think this was the mistake, to be honest. Getting the royals down and letting them work already while the archers aren't down, and then doing the saps. So right now I'm doing the saps here, and then doing the saps like here. Gonna get this stuff. But the problem, you're gonna see that in a bit, is this here is not gone yet. And it should have, yeah, and now you're gonna see the problem. Yeah, BK box. And this is a problem for a reason that is not as obvious, because you could argue, yeah, hey, the funnel is done, that's nice. I mean, BK would have been nice, maybe get a couple more defenses, but the funnel is done, so they will walk in the right direction, but only up until this point. And now it becomes a problem that BK is here. We're gonna see that in a bit, because the way the arches work is okay, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on this, but the way they work is usually they kind of funnel themselves into a base in a way because of how they can bounce buildings. And in that case, it was just, yeah, like ideally I would have wanted them to go in here and take out these buildings first, but they did not do that. But here, this is a Hound CC. That's probably one of the most annoying things to deal with. Like, it still doesn't do a lot to you, it's just taking time. You see, it just pops, they take out the pups, they don't really do anything. But you see, like, this is one of the problems. So bases where you're not sure how they're gonna walk can be a little problematic because they will split. And now you see this one is going in here, or is it two maybe? Not just one. Yeah, and this is again the healer switch onto the single super archer, which is not what you want to have happen, but it's fine because we have the P.E.K.K.A. and the super barbs to tank. So this is where their super barbs are so important, because the P.E.K.K.A. is not always going to be this healthy as it is right now. So yeah, AQ snipes them, and then you have the healers on the Warden, which is still not really where you want them. Okay, now you have them on two super archers, they split. Yeah, like the healers are gonna split a little bit, so this is why the secondary tanking from the P.E.K.K.A. and super barbs is very important. And you see just working around the outside, and in that case I would have wanted them to go in so that this here does not happen. But they did not, so right now we have that tanking, and this is the only reason this is still a triple, right? Yeah, Warden ability here against the Wiz Tower, and just, you know, keeping the troops alive. Yeah, we're just gonna fast forward through it. It's not pretty, but yeah, barely get the AQ. Yeah, I mean, it's still, there's lots of troops left over, but yeah. The pathing and being able to predict that is probably the most important part. Okay, let's watch that one actually. This is an example that didn't go through. Let's see, check out why. Okay, so first part, doing the royals first. In that case, that was the right call because BK is gonna need some time. Then I'm gonna set that expo, bomb tower, and AD, just some value I could get with the saps. Yeah, then just let them clear that part. get in the super archers. Now the plan is to jump in here, because I kind of wanted to try that with the jumps. But the thing is, like, you're gonna see that soon, and then put the siege barracks down here. The problem with this one is just the siege barracks dying out. And you'll see in a bit why. So this is not ideal here. And okay, this is a great example actually. You cannot reach that multi from here, from this wall outside. You can reach it from here, I think, because it's only 4 tiles in and 1 to this. I'm not sure. We'll see if they can reach it in a bit. Either way, you cannot reach this multi from the outside. So this is, in that case, it's actually not even close to being able to reach it. It's 2 tiles off. Yeah, you're gonna see it in a bit why this doesn't go through. Okay, so right now it's looking okay, right? But the problem is all of this defense here is on the P.E.K.K.A. and that, and I don't have anything to answer that. The archers were too slow, so maybe I was too slow, too early on the siege barracks, but if I had been later, the funnel wouldn't have been made properly. So, yeah, I did triple this one with a queen walk down here, and then having the super archers up here with it. Actually, I don't think I even used the jump. Not sure. But yeah, anyways, this is gonna run out of time. It would have still tripled, but just not enough time, and I decided to end it early because I didn't want to watch them any longer. So we're gonna watch another one that I messed up gloriously. Yeah, so on that one here, obvious sap value, which is pretty good. And then Zui the CC with the Royals, and this is probably where this one went south. Because I should have waited a little longer. And well, Lalo CC is obviously not a lot of fun to Zui with your Royals. This is probably what cost me this FC. So, problem, you're gonna see that soon. The archers are pretty hard to funnel. Like they need a really good funnel. And in this case, they don't have it. The pups are gonna pull them, and then this expo is still up, and this is enough to pull them. So if those were down and the pups weren't there, it would be fine. But that's not the case. If that hadn't been a Lalo CC, it would have probably worked out, but it did not. And I think it's important to show also the fails to see why it doesn't work. Yeah, and here obviously everything just walked to the expo. Yeah, because this Wistar is completely fine because they can reach it from the outside, so it's not gonna pull them in here.